You had an opportunity that had bipartisanship. I've heard words on this floor today, Mr. Speaker, essential, critical, that we are here. I applaud the few Democrats on the other side who are willing to show. I know if you cannot make it today, you have to sign paperwork that your health will not allow you to be here. And the Speaker is bringing us back on a Saturday because it's so critical to be here right now, this moment, in this time. But 1/3 on the other side either thinks otherwise. Now let's go through some of the myths versus facts. Myth number 1, the Postal Service is being sabotaged. The Postal Service is properly funded for the election and beyond. We've said it many times here, it's funded completely through August 2021. That's according to the Postal Service. The Postal Service has long-term challenges, but they predate anything about this administration. It isn't being sabotaged. Myth number 2, removing mailboxes from public places is uncommon and cause for alarm. This is shocking. We got Country Western Stars putting this up on Instagram. We need to rush back here on Saturday. But little did we know that during the Obama-Biden years, more than 12,000 mailboxes were removed from communities. Never once did we rush into a Saturday to have a bill that you didn't have marked up, to 1/3 of the Democrats who would not show. The Postal Service is actually constantly moving mailboxes from low to high volume growth areas. Kind of smart thing to do. In some cases, they replace them with more modern versions. Some places I saw a picture where they actually had a lock in the front. You have town hall meetings, you'll find out a lot of mail gets stolen, so they were protecting the packages but still allowing you to put the letter in. This isn't voter suppression, it's routine maintenance. Myth number 3, Postal Service doesn't have the capacity to handle more absentee ballots. The Postal Service delivers 471 million pieces of mail on an average day. Little known fact, people mail less every single year. With all the advancements we put in the Postal Service, with the technology of our own life, do you know what equals of what year this 471 million? About to exact what we did in 1985. But we do it different than 85. We have more technology. And because of that, the Postmaster General actually refuted the capacity with its no uncertain terms to the Senate yesterday. The Postal Service released this: if all Americans vote by mail, 330 million ballots, over the course of this election, it would only be 75% of what they deliver in a single day. Now, I don't want to claim, Mr. Speaker, all the Democrats think this is not a myth. Maybe that's why 1/3 didn't show today. I'm not sure. They said their health was bad. I'm not sure if that's the case either. Even the New York Times isn't buying the House Democrats' obvious untruths. As it was reported earlier this month, experts agree that the Postal Service has the raw capacity to absorb the additional ballots, even if 150 million people decided to vote by mail. Myth number 4, the Democrats' legislation will make the Postal Service fiscally sustainable. You're not fixing any of the fundamentals. You're not even taking the bill that you spent years on with a Republican and a Democrat, with Elijah Cummings and Mark Meadows. Two who will say they come from different walks of life, from a philosophy, but found common ground when it came to the post office. To really fix the core of what the problems is. But that's not why we're here today. So as the Democrats perpetuate this sad political stunt, unfortunately, their serious business goes unmet. But it shows real priority. This week, we learned that 71% of small businesses have their entire paycheck protection loan. They spent it all. And 46% anticipate they will need more financial support over the next 12 months. But that wasn't critical enough to be here, because these are real people with real families. They don't expect miracles from us, but they do expect us to at least care. Unfortunately, not one piece of legislation this so-called emergency session is about the families or their future. Nor are we working to protect the vaccine research and support Operation Warp Speed. Nope. House Democrats are doing what they've done for the last 2 years. They're putting politics before people. Last month, Speaker Pelosi said to us, we can't go home until a coronavirus relief package is complete. I guess we know that's not true. And I wonder if she wants to keep her word this time as well. But I guess we'll go home this Saturday. But good news for 1/3 of the Democrats, they don't have to go anywhere. They're already home. When she did not get her liberal wish list, she sent members home. And I guess good news for some Americans. Those who stayed home and vote, they still got paid. But those small businesses that are running out, that we're here in this body right now, that we could do something about, or those who are on unemployment, we could do something about. You have the majority, we don't. We are not allowed to bring it to the floor, you can. But you picked a crisis of something that's already funded. You can't spend the money you want to give them. Why? Because they got $14 billion sitting in the bank and another $10 billion they could pull from. But the small businesses don't. The families that can't pay their rent, they don't. Or what about the vaccine? But you did do something this week. You extended the shadow voting scheme, gathering yourselves permission to vote from home until October 2nd. Mr. Speaker, I'll take a bet. I'll make a bet on this floor right now, and maybe even a prediction. I bet that gets extended again and probably goes a few days past the election in November. Who would like to take that bet with me? How much do you want to get that extended all the way through? What does that mean to the American people? Well, it means the majority party and Democrats have cast over 2,520 votes and counting from home. That's just unconstitutional. It doesn't matter. It's such a big crisis that we're called back. There's plenty of room on the floor on the other side. It means a Democrat member can dial in from his boat to vote. I'm not making that up. That actually happened. It means another Democrat can play hooky to go to watch a space shuttle launch that isn't even in his own district. It means Democrats collect paycheck while the hardworking taxpayers have to pay for their vacation. And today it means that 68 Democrats, 1/3 of their caucus, didn't even care enough to show up for this so-called emergency session. It's critical. I've heard you say it. We cannot wait. We cannot wait one day. We need to be here and now. Now, I believe that's true, but not about the post office, but about those millions of Americans that need us to act. Every time we brought legislation to this floor dealing with the COVID situation, it seems to me the Speaker's been able to hold it up. I don't know, maybe you want to try to hold it up past the election. Seems to me that would be plain politics. Seems to me that would be a dereliction of duty. It's not how you empower the people's voice in Washington, it's how you dilute it. This is leadership malpractice. This is shameful, and this is embarrassing. Mr. Speaker, our first Postmaster General that I've heard people speak of, Ben Franklin, could have been talking about this majority when he said, "Lost time is never found again." As a majority, Democrats have been more focused on distraction than solutions for the American people. From the weakness, most partisans impeachment in American history, to politicizing the pandemic and stopping relief for workers and families, and now spreading a debunked conspiracy theory about a postal service. Mr. Speaker, Democrats have failed the American public. They failed the laid-off workers, the families, the students who are waiting for help. The small businesses, the doctors, the nurses, they're waiting for help. The researchers, the scientists who are developing a vaccine, they are waiting for help. But you have not failed everyone. because this majority said no. They did, however, say yes to China. On this floor just a few weeks ago, there was a bill to sanction anyone who would hack into our companies, into our institutions, who are working on a vaccine faster than ever before that would only slow it down to save lives. We had an opportunity to tell those countries, work with us, don't steal from us. But your voice was heard loud and clear. All the Democrats showed up that day. More than 2/3 of you voted no. On the same day that it was reported that 2 Chinese were hacking into our vaccine. That's what you said. I heard the majority leader said it was an MTR. Yes, it was. Why was it MTR? Because you don't give us an amendment. Why was it MTR? Because it was the moment of the time. It was essential. It was critical. It was reported on that day. You could act that day. The country needed us to act. But you said no. You stood up for the Chinese that day. I do not know what the Chinese Communist Party has on the Democrats, Mr. Speaker, but it must be powerful. It must be so powerful. I know there's bills in the Senate that have passed that would hold them accountable, but they can't come to the floor. I've read the reports from the FBI that they're playing in this campaign, that they do have a person they want to win and put a new person in office. But that's not critical to you. It is critical that we come today to provide $25 billion to an organization that Republicans and Democrats that are the commissioners said they do not need. Why do they not need it? Because they look at their own bank account and realize they have $14 billion. They do not need because in the CARES Act we gave them another $10 billion to sit there. They do not need because they said they could deliver every piece of mail, that it would be only 75% of what they do in a single day. But Mr. Speaker, I do not want to say all the Democrats feel that way, because 1/3 of them didn't show up for work today, even though their own leader, the Speaker, said they needed to come. Even though when we passed on this floor something different than we haven't done in more than 230 years to let somebody stay home, be on a boat, call in, and still get paid, said you could not do that. You could only do it if your health was at need. I'm not quite sure a hospital is on a boat in a lake, but to Democrats it must be. They won't vote on a bill that I propose to sanction Chinese affiliate hackers who attack our vaccine research. I'm not sure that's partisan. I thought that was pure American. They won't help working Americans. They won't help protect our vaccines. But yes, they stood that day proudly in supporting of the Chinese Communist Party. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. America is too great for a vision so small with our challenges before us. We showed up. But you know why we showed up? We showed up for the small businesses. We showed up for those who are unemployed. We showed up for those school districts that want to find a way to open safely. We showed up for the doctors, the nurses. I know. When I look up on the board, there'll be a lot of Democrat votes. I don't know where those 1/3 are. Maybe they're on the boat. Maybe they're watching a spaceship. I'm not sure. Maybe some are watching Oprah. But one thing I do know, it's essential that we're here. But we should be here for other reasons. We should be here for the reasons that the American public expect us to. Mr. Speaker, we can do so much better. This country needs us. We should rise to the occasion, not fall for a vision so small as what I see today. I yield back.